What's up, brand builders? Stephen Hurahan here at BrandMasterAcademy.com, and in this video I'm going to explain brand strategy in 5 simple steps so you can understand why the demand for strategically developed brands is increasing and how you can go about developing brand strategies for your own business or for your clients. Now, if you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new to the channel and you want actionable brand strategy tips and techniques to grow your business, well then click on that subscribe button and the notification bell and you'll be well on your way. Now, I've been in the branding game for around about 10 years or so, and I've spoken with hundreds of entrepreneurs and business owners, and I've spoken to a lot of other designers and strategists about their clients as well, and the general consensus seems to be that branding is something that's visual, and branding is a task that the entrepreneur or business owner needs to undertake in order to provide a look and feel for their business. And I've been there, I've been on the other side of that. I've provided those logos and provided those websites and handed over that request to the client. They've asked me for those services and I've handed them over, and I've seen what's happened after that. Once I hand over the logo and I hand over the website, I go back months or weeks later and check on what it is that they're doing, how they're managing their brand, how they're marketing, how they're speaking to their audience, and there is no action going on at all on their social pages, on their website, and I can't see any kind of evidence of marketing. So they've asked me for a logo and a website, believing that that is what they needed to be successful with their business, and they didn't really have any other plan after that. They didn't know how they were going to speak to their audience, what personality they were going to use, what characteristics they were going to display, how they were going to be different to their competitors, what kind of messages they were going to send out there, what kind of stories they were going to tell. They didn't really have any kind of plan, and that's exactly what brand strategy provides. So branding goes far beyond those visuals, far beyond the logo and the look and feel and the typography and color palette, and it's about influencing the perceptions of the audience as to how they should see the brand. And that distinction is really, really important, influencing perceptions, because that's what branding is at the end of the day. It's about bringing an audience and a business closer together, and the way we do that is by influencing their perceptions about that business. Now, of course, the look and feel gives us a tool to influence how they see the brand, but there are far many more tools of influence within a brand than just that look and feel. So brand strategy gives us those other tools that would influence the audience as to how they perceive the brand and ultimately the decision to buy. And those tools include what the brand stands for, what it believes, how it behaves in the marketplace, why it's different to its competitors, how it's going to speak to the audience, who that audience is, and what they feel and what they really desire, and what kind of personality they're going to be attracted to, what characteristics the brand should display, and the message that it should send out into the marketplace, what tone of voice is it going to use, and what stories is it going to tell. All of these considerations are tools that can influence the audience's perception of that brand and of that business, so that they feel that it's a brand and a business that might appeal to them, that might resonate with them more on a human level. So again, going back to that influencing perceptions is what we're trying to do with a brand, and we have far more tools at our disposal than those visuals. So let's look at 5 steps that you can take to develop a brand strategy for your brand. Step number 1, discovery. Now, if you go ahead and ask any kind of service provider in the world, whether it's a dentist, a plumber, a financial planner, before they can go and fix a problem, they need to understand what the problem is. And that's what the discovery session is all about. It's all about sitting down with the business leaders and really understanding everything that you need to understand before going ahead and developing a solution to their problem. And the information that you need to gather here is broken up into 4 categories. That's the information that you need on their business and their industry, the information that you need on their audience, their competitors, and of course their goals as well. What is it that they're trying to achieve? If you're able to gather all of that information, then you're going to have a solid foundation on which you can build your brand strategy. Step number 2, strategy development. Now, this is where the real strategic work begins, and there are a couple of ways that you can approach this. The first is a workshop environment. So this is a real collaborative environment where you sit down with the business owners and you basically develop the elements of the brand in collaboration with them. Now, this can take anywhere between a day to 2, 3, 4 days, even a week. It really depends on the scope of the project and the size of the business. But essentially, you're collaborating here with the business leaders to develop the elements of the brand that you can polish off later on. Now, the second way is to do a research and development session in isolation. So taking that work and that information from the discovery session and developing out the brand in isolation and touching base with the clients here and there to get a little bit of input from them. But essentially, one is in a workshop environment in collaboration with the business leaders, and the other is in isolation through research and development, taking the information from the discovery session. And the third way, of course, is a hybrid between the two, taking the time to sit down with your business leaders for a day or two and then taking that information and developing out that brand later on. There are a few different ways that you can approach this strategy development. But again, going back to that brand strategy and the elements of that brand strategy, you're really trying to develop out here exactly what the brand is standing for, that solid foundation and what the business leaders believe in. And then, of course, defining the difference that the brand is going to make in the marketplace. What is that differentiation strategy and how's it going to differ from all of those competitors? And then, of course, developing out that personality and that tone of voice before the messaging and the story. So there's a lot of information and a lot of elements within the brand developed within this session, but what you're left with at the end is a brand that oozes clarity. Step number 3, identity development. Now, any business leader that has taken the time to work on a brand strategy here is at a distinct advantage, because most business leaders start the brand development process at this step. They believe that it's a visual identity that they need, and they haven't bothered with any of that strategy stuff. So they don't have a tone of voice, they don't have a personality, a differentiation strategy, or a position in the market. They don't really know who it is that they're talking to in terms of their audience, and they don't have a message or a story that's going to resonate with them. So any business leader or brand that has taken the time to develop out a brand strategy is at a significant advantage. But this step here is all about infusing characteristics of the brand strategy into the visual identity. So again, that's another advantage to having that brand strategy, is that you have identified the characteristics that are going to appeal most to who that audience is. So you want to take those characteristics into the visual identity development session and really infuse those visuals with those characteristics, because that's the key here. Those characteristics are how you can communicate strategy visually. And the more characteristics that you're able to infuse into your visuals, the more effective your visual strategy is going to be. Step number 4, brand launch. Now, this isn't about putting up a website and leaving it there. That's not what's going to grow your brand. You need to actively put your brand out there. You need to actively market to your audience. So having a distinct understanding about who your audience is and where they're congregating is really important. And you will have done a lot of this work in the brand strategy development phase in terms of understanding where your audience is congregating. But when it comes to launching your brand, you need a marketing strategy in place. You need to understand where you're going to put your messages, how you're going to put your messages out there. Are you going to use social media organic posts? Are you going to use social paid ads? Are you going to use SEO, Google AdWords, content marketing? How are you going to get your messages out there, and how are you going to resonate with who your audience is? Where are they going to be most open to your messages? And step number 5, brand management. Now, building a brand is not done in a day. And again, you don't just put up a logo on a website and call it a day. That's not how brands are built. It doesn't take a day. It takes weeks or months or even years to really raise that brand awareness. And this is all about listening to your audience. Yes, it's about getting those initial customers in the door and then speaking to them, asking them what they want, talking to them about their challenges, so you can further refine your messaging, you can further refine your offer, you can further optimize your website so you're giving them more of what they want. So managing a brand is all about listening to the audience. It's all about understanding what they want and then tailoring your brand, optimizing your brand, and developing your brand to give them more of what they want. So this is a task that takes time. It's a task that takes ongoing nurturing, and that's how brands are built at the end of the day. Brands are built by nurturing, not by broadcast marketing, not by broadcasting messages out there and just expecting sales to come in their droves. It's about nurturing, it's about listening to who the audience is and giving them more of what they want. Now, the term brand strategy has been around for many, many years, but up until recently, it's really only been reserved for much bigger brands. Yes, bigger brands have had brand strategists in-house. They have had brand managers managing their brand ongoing, but as far as small business owners are concerned, brand strategy is really only coming to the forefront now. And although I have said that most business owners and entrepreneurs believe that branding is about the visuals, that is slowly changing. Yes, there is a big gap to close, but more and more small business owners understand that branding is about far more than just those visuals. And when you have public speakers like Gary Vaynerchuk and Richard Branson and Grant Cardone all talking about the importance of branding and brand strategy, then entrepreneurs are going to be listening. And that's why we're seeing a much higher demand in these brand strategy services, because these smaller business owners understand that they are building a brand. If they're going to build a business, then they need to build a brand around that business, and a logo and a website is not going to do it for them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell as well. It'll let you know when we've got new videos coming out. If you want actionable brand strategy tips and techniques like this, well then head on over to BrandMasterAcademy.com and get yourself signed up for the list. It is free, and I do keep some exclusive tips for that list, so get yourself involved. But I'd love to hand it over to you now. What is your experience when it comes to brand strategy? Are you building a brand for yourself? Are you trying to implement strategy for the first time? Or are you speaking to clients about brand strategy and about the importance of brand strategy? And if so, what kind of conversations are happening there? And what kind of pushback are you getting? Are you finding that you're needing to explain what brand strategy is time and again? I'd love to hear what your comments are, what your questions are. I'll do my best to answer all of those questions. Until next time, brand like a master, and I will see you in the next video.